These 5 hygiene blunders are what cause elderly people to smell terrible. According to medical professionals, health of the elderly. Have you ever sniffed something that didn't smell right and wondered to yourself whether it was coming from you? Even though it is a sensitive topic, the majority of individuals are surprised to learn that body odor is more prevalent in older folks than they realize. It's not because someone is unmotivated or doesn't know how to maintain their personal hygiene. In many instances, it is the result of straightforward errors that we tend to ignore as we become older. Skin changes, decreased mobility, or even simple behaviors from earlier years might quietly lead to odors that were not a concern before. This can happen for a variety of reasons. In this video, we will discuss 5 misconceptions about personal hygiene that, according to medical professionals, are the most common reasons for bad body odor in elderly people. Because they are so subtle, they are sometimes overlooked. However, once you have a better understanding of them, you will realize how simple it is to address them and how much of a difference they can make in your day-to-day comfort and confidence. The following list is something that every older adult ought to be aware of. Regardless of whether you have personally observed something or you simply wish to stay one step ahead of it. You should never feel humiliated in your own skin. And you should always feel clean, fresh, and pleased of how you conduct yourself. This is something that you should feel every single day. Be sure to stay listened until the very end because the 5th error is one that a lot of people do in order to cover up scents. But it can really make matters worse. And once you have a better understanding of why, it has the potential to fundamentally alter the way you think about cleanliness. It's time to get started. The first mistake is that you have been wearing the same clothes for an excessive amount of time. A person's clothing that has been worn for an excessive amount of time is one of the most common ways that odor can make its way into their body. Particularly in their later years. It is now complete for all of us. You put on a clothing that appears clean, yet it does not have a dirty feeling to it. Because of this, you decide to put it on once more. However, what a lot of people don't realize is that even if your clothes appear to be clean, they can still be retaining the sweat, skin oils, and bacteria that were there the previous time you wore them. Additionally, as time passes, this accumulation does not merely remain in the fabric. It also begins to produce an odor that lingers on your body long after you have taken a shower. In particular, this is the case with socks, undergarments, and anything else that should be worn in close proximity to the skin. Because of the high temperatures and high levels of moisture in those places, they are ideal for the growth of bacteria. Therefore, the stench is not only caused by the sweat but also by the bacteria that are there. This may come as a surprise to senior citizens who may not sweat as much as they used to. But it is not necessarily about the amount of perspiration that is produced. Now is the moment to act. After sweat and oils have been allowed to remain on clothing for a longer period of time, bacteria have more opportunity to break them down and produce those unpleasant scents. I'll walk you through a real-world example. Harold, who was 77 years old and lived alone, had a pattern that he followed like a clockwork. The home shirt and lounge pants that he wore for 3 or 4 days in a row were no different from one another. However, he did not observe anything. However, when his daughter came to visit, she pointed out in a kind manner that his garments had a distinct odor that was reminiscent of mustiness. He was taken aback by it. He was under the impression that a daily sponge bath was sufficient. Nevertheless, after he began changing his clothing on a daily basis and laundering them on a more consistent basis, he himself became aware of how much more pleasant the aroma of his home and his own body was. There is no vanity involved here. Comfort is the focus here. When you have clean clothes, you get a better feeling overall. You move with a smoother motion. Especially if your pajamas and bedsheets are clean, you will find that you are able to sleep more easily. In spite of the fact that doing laundry may be physically challenging for you, there are still solutions to do it. Create a few smaller loads out of it. Ask a neighbor or a member of your family for assistance. Or establish a straightforward method. Underwear and socks are always changed on a daily basis. but shirts are replaced every other day. You should remind yourself that it is not wasteful to wash garments that appear to be clean by keeping a small basket in your room just for items that are ready to be washed. In a respectful manner, pertaining to yourself, your surroundings, and the people close to you. Because when you alter the things that come into contact with your skin, you alter the way that you present yourself to the world. You are entitled to the same sense of revitalization and care that is experienced by everyone else. When taking a bath, the second mistake is to overlook moist areas and folds of the skin. Although many people in their latter years take great delight in maintaining a clean appearance, one of the most frequently neglected mistakes in terms of personal hygiene is not skipping the bath. The cause of this condition is that some portions of the body are not cleaned completely enough. Skin undergoes changes as we get older. It thins out, becomes more delicate, and loses some of its resistance to stretching. Additionally, we may experience weight increase or loss, which can result in the formation of additional folds in locations such as the area beneath the breasts, the area around the abdomen, the area between the thighs, and the area under the arms. Now, what exactly takes occurring in those locations, particularly when they continue to be warm and damp? Both yeast and bacteria thrive in that environment. You are creating the ideal conditions for odor to flourish when you do not thoroughly wash in. More importantly, dry the regions in question. It is not because someone did not take a bath, rather, the moisture that was present became trapped. And to make matters even worse, many of these regions are difficult to see or reach, which means that during the process of bathing, they are either skipped totally or rushed through. Unlike other smells, this one is distinct. This is not merely an odor on the surface. The flavor may be sour, musty, or even astringent. Additionally, the individual who is experiencing it might not recognize it right away, particularly if they have gradually become accustomed to it over the course of time. I'd want to brief you on Eleanor, who is 80 years old. She was extremely conscientious about her personal hygiene and never missed a morning shower, as if it were a ritual. However, whenever her granddaughter leaned in for a hug, she felt a slight odor that was characteristic of sourness. She inquired politely as to whether or not she was drying under her chest and belly after she had bathed. After a little pause, Eleanor responded, "No, I typically let it air dry." That one simple adjustment, which consisted of drying the skin with a clean towel, was the one that made all the difference. It took only a few days for the odor to stop. Moreover, it is not only about the smell. It is possible for these places to develop rashes, fungal infections, or raw, itchy patches if they remain damp for an extended period of time. This can make it difficult to move or sit comfortably. It is for this reason that it is of the utmost importance to provide them with a little bit of additional attention. Not only with soap and water, but also with a gentle towel and care. Make use of a gentle washcloth or a sponge with a handle if you discover that certain spots are difficult to access. Hold on to your time. Be sure to make use of a mirror. Also, after you have washed each fold, make sure to pat it dry rather than rubbing it. Certain individuals even resort to utilizing a fan or hairdryer with a cool setting in order to dry those difficult areas in a gentle manner without creating irritation. One other piece of advice: stay away from talcum powders and sprays that are excessively perfumed in these places. Sometimes they might make the condition worse by creating skin irritation or by causing moisture to be trapped in the skin. Despite the fact that they may appear to be helpful, scrubbing more vigorously is not the key to good hygiene. It is about being more conscious and treating the portions of your body that do not receive as much air or light as the rest of your body with the same level of care. Because when you treat every part of yourself with respect, you will not only feel cleaner, but you will also carry yourself with more self-assurance, comfort, and ease. I would appreciate it if you could use the second comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. Mistake number 3. Improper oral hygiene and denture care. Even if you are completely clean from head to toe, simply the fact that your mouth is not receiving the attention it requires can be enough to produce an odor that is persistent and unpleasant. The majority of us, as we get older, experience the loss of some or all of our natural teeth, and dentures become an inevitable part of our lives. Dentures, on the other hand, call for a whole different kind of maintenance than natural teeth do. This is something that a lot of people are unaware of. The rinsing alone is not enough, they need to be cleaned every day. On the other hand, if they are not, they have the potential to rapidly become a breeding environment for yeast, bacteria, and tiny food particles. On the denture itself, bacteria are not the only thing that might be found. In addition to your gums and cheeks, it extends across your tongue. It penetrates into the tiniest of cracks. And it is this gradual accumulation that causes what is commonly referred to as denture breath, which is characterized by a dry and sour odor that does not disappear even after using mouthwash or breath mints. Even more concerning is the fact that dentures will dry out, lose their form, and cause microabrasions on your gums if they are worn overnight or if they are not properly moistened. This can result in irritation, mouth sores, and even infections, all of which serve to exacerbate the odor and make it more difficult to control. A gentleman named Frank, who was 84 years old, was someone I recall meeting. During the course of the conversation, he had seen, but he was unable to determine the reason for this behavior. He would brush his teeth first thing in the morning, but he never removed them before going to bed. It was eventually determined by his dentist that the filthy surfaces of his dentures were the cause of a fungal condition known as thrush. The improvement in his breath was virtually instantaneous when a mild cleaning procedure was implemented, as well as a new practice of soaking them overnight. The same may be said for his self-assurance in social situations. It's not just about the pungent odor. Your whole health might be negatively impacted by poor oral hygiene. There is a possibility that bacteria from the mouth could enter the bloodstream, which would increase the likelihood of cardiac problems, particularly for elderly people who also have other illnesses. Because of this, your mouth should receive the same amount of attention on a regular basis as the rest of your body. So what are your options? Do not use toothpaste to brush your dentures since it can be too abrasive. Instead, use a brush with soft bristles to brush your teeth. Utilize a denture cleanser or a dish soap that is gentle. It is recommended that you soak them in the appropriate solution every night and give your mouth a rest from wearing them for a minimum of 68 hours while you are sleeping. Remember to take care of your tongue and gums as well. Make use of a gentle brush or tongue scraper to eliminate buildup in a gentle manner on a daily basis. Another thing to remember is to maintain a regular schedule of dental checkups. Even if you no longer have your natural teeth, you still require expert attention for your oral tissues, jaw alignment, and dentures in order to maintain your health while wearing them. Because the way you take care of your mouth has a rippling effect on your breath, your comfort, and how you interact with the world around you. Your smile, regardless of whether it is natural or not, should feel clean, fresh, and pain-free regardless of whether it is natural or not. Failing to take full body showers or utilizing insufficient amounts of water is the fourth mistake. Not out of laziness but rather out of necessity. A significant number of elderly people revert from taking full body showers to taking sponge baths or performing brief rinses. It's possible that you're experiencing difficulties with mobility, that you're afraid of falling, or that you're simply too exhausted to go through the entire process. This is something that can be thoroughly understood. On the other hand, here is what occurs over time when you routinely use an insufficient amount of water or when you completely avoid showers. On a regular basis, your skin does not receive the thorough cleansing it needs to remove dead skin cells, extra oils, and germs that produce odor. Even while water is not the only solution to every problem, it is an essential component in the process of physically lifting and washing away what soap alone is unable to accomplish. Take this into consideration. Just picture yourself washing dishes with nothing but a sponge and no rinse. It's possible that you could shift the grime around, but it won't feel completely clean. In the same vein, your skin is affected. Let's get this straight now. Sponge baths have the potential to be effective when they are delivered in the correct manner. However, they must be administered to the entire body, not just the face, armpits, and hands. Numerous areas, including the back, behind the knees, behind the elbows, and around the hips, are frequently neglected, despite the fact that these are precisely the places where sweat, bacteria, and skin cells accumulate. The use of insufficient amounts of soap or the failure to thoroughly rinse it off is another prevalent problem. When soap residue remains on the skin, it has the potential to combine with sweat or body oils, which can actually contribute to the development of body odor rather than reducing it. Following a hip injury, a woman named Marie, who was 79 years old, had made the shift to using a sponge to bathe herself. Even though she was cleaning herself every day, she began to notice a slight stench that was reminiscent of staleness with time. In addition to her regular sponge baths, her physical therapist also suggested that she take a more thorough, full-body shower with warm water and gentle soap once a week. This would be in addition to her regular sponge baths. It was a significant turn of events. Her skin had a revitalized touch. Her clothes remained clean for a longer period of time, and she regained her feeling of dignity. Therefore, if you have stopped taking regular showers due to concerns about your safety or comfort, you are not alone, and it is not a mistake to be careful. There are, however, techniques to make bathing a safer activity. The experience can be completely transformed by the addition of grab bars, non-slip mats, a strong shower chair, or even a handheld shower head. In addition, if taking a bath continues to be a challenge for you, you might want to think about scheduling assistance from a member of your family or a home care worker once a week. You are not need to take a shower every single day, but your body deserves to be thoroughly and gently cleansed on a consistent basis. Due to the fact that mistreatment is not usually the cause of odor, it frequently originates from the fact that we frequently take short ways when we are attempting to control our energy or our agony. Give your skin the opportunity to feel refreshed, soothed, and repaired by allowing it to breathe again. The elimination of odor is not the only concern. It is about recovering the simple pleasure of feeling clean from head to toe rather than just feeling clean. I would appreciate it if you could use the fourth comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Now, let's proceed with our plans. Fifth error: covering up the smell rather than addressing the root of the problem. When people first become aware of an odor, whether it is on themselves or in their home, their initial reaction is frequently to cover it up when they first become aware of it. There is a small amount of additional perfume, a light dusting of scented powder, and possibly even a potent deodorant that guarantees protection for the entire day. Here is something that the majority of people are unaware of. Despite the fact that those things can provide momentary comfort, it is nearly always the case that masking an odor without removing the source of the stench will make the smell worse over time. This is due to the fact that synthetic fragrances do not eliminate odors. Along with them, they mix, and what you wind up with is a multi-layered odor that is more difficult to recognize, more difficult to ignore, and frequently more irritating to other people than the initial issue. This is especially prevalent among older folks who were raised during a time when body powders and sprays were the dominant form of personal care products. On the other hand, when those routines are employed in place of true cleansing, they do not solve any problems. As a matter of fact, scented powders have the potential to sometimes retain moisture against the skin, which can result in a higher body odor, particularly in sections of the body that are warm or folded. Heavy perfumes, especially when applied to unwashed clothing or skin that is not clean, have the potential to enhance the musty or sour underlying scent that is underneath. What is the end result? An odor that is not only chemical but also organic, and something that is even more challenging to control. I recall a man named Samuel who was 81 years old. Despite the fact that Samuel applied fragrance on a daily basis, his son made the observation that he always smelled a little bit wrong whenever they hugged. It was discovered that he had been failing to take his evening showers and instead relied on his characteristic perfume to revitalize himself. The combination of old sweat and potent fragrance, on the other hand, was really making the situation much more difficult. It was only when he resumed his regular routine of rinsing and began using soap that did not include any smell that he became aware of how much lighter and more comfortable he felt. Also, when he did wear fragrance again, it was not overpowering and instead served to complement his impeccable hygiene rather than to compete with it. Here is the reality. Then, it is recommended to use fragrance after hygiene, rather than in place of it. It's completely acceptable if you take pleasure in using things that have a scent. Just make sure that they are applied to skin that is clean. Instead of being a cover-up, you should think of them as the final polish. When using powders, you should be careful about where you apply them and how you do it. Steer clear of places that retain moisture. Use products that are listed as being hypoallergenic and free of talc. Or think about switching to alternatives that are based on cornstarch and aid with dryness without imparting a strong aroma. When all is said and done, the objective is not to smell like a flower store. This is to smell like you. To be clean, to be fresh, and to be cared for. When you get rid of odor at its source, you save yourself the trouble of having to cover it up with artificial fragrances. When you are able to walk through the world without worrying about what other people are noticing, you are able to stand tall and feel secure. The value of that kind of unassuming self-assurance is significantly more than the value of the most potent fragrance that money can buy. In the Frenemerserenum, in conclusion, Grenadier Vanorn, some ideas. Therefore, now that we have gone over these 5 typical, subtle, and completely fixable flaws in terms of hygiene, I would like you to take a moment to contemplate. Which one of these did you consider to be familiar? Can you tell me which one took you by surprise? It's not just about the things you use to smell fresh. There are other factors at play as well. Having an awareness of the ways in which your body transforms with age and adapting your routines accordingly is essential. Over the course of your lifetime, your skin, your mouth, your digestion, and your movement will all undergo changes. In addition, this might often mean that routines that have been successful for decades no longer operate quite as well as they once did. However, this does not imply that you have abandoned yourself. This indicates that you are currently residing in a different body, and that body is deserving of the same level of care, attention, and respect that it has always received. Every one of these seemingly insignificant adjustments, such as switching your clothes every day, ensuring that your skin folds are well dried, cleaning your teeth, fully giving your body a good rinse, and avoiding wearing heavy scents, can have a significant impact on how you feel, how others see you, and how confidently you move through the day. A little bit more awareness, a little bit more intention, and a little bit more kindness toward the body that has carried you thus far is all that is required to accomplish any of these things. The best news is that none of this requires any expensive items or drastic routines. You should know that you deserve to feel clean, regardless of whether you live alone or with family. Whether you are 60 or 85 years old, you are deserving of a contented feeling in your own skin. Not only that, but you are deserving of the tranquility that comes from the knowledge that you are presenting yourself in the most revitalized and finest version of yourself. We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. Please leave a comment below and tell us about one item you discovered today and how you intend to put it to use in your life right now. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we hope to see you in the future video.